There's a shooting. It involved an ICE agent and a 37-year-old Minneapolis woman who was shot and killed.
You can't dismiss the fact that for months now, I mean, almost half a year, maybe even more, Democrats on television have been out there basically calling ICE terrorists and demanding they take off their masks, which we've talked about on this show. The only reason they're wearing those masks is not to protect them. They're pretty tough guys for the most part. It's to protect their families. It's quite literally why every superhero wears a mask. Peter Parker wasn't doing it to protect himself. It was to protect Aunt May.
I think she was just trying to get away. I personally do not think she was trying to kill him. And I think he felt like maybe she was. I'm sure he thought that. I'm sure people have threatened to kill him many times. And he shot her.
And so the question then becomes, should there not be guys running around with weapons trying to do their job with immigration because it's too dangerous? Or should the supremacy clause really be asserted? I mean, that's really the question here, the meta question.
I have so missed my actual friends. It seems like we've been off for years. It's been like 3 weeks. Welcome back, everybody. Jillian, Dave, Drew.
How you doing, people? Welcome to 2026.
I know.
I was so excited actually today. Like I wore like my stupid, like I was so and now we have like such a bummer of an intro story, but I'm like, I refuse. I'm excited to be back on with all of you, and I'm going to try to maintain my mood. So take it away, Sage.
I do think we're going to have to, I mean, if this is the way 2026 is starting off, from Venezuela to what we're going to talk about in Minneapolis, et cetera, Tucker Carlson, you name it, we're going to have to bottle up our warm, fuzzy feelings from the holidays over the last month or so and carry them around in a bottle with us everywhere we go. Because beautiful holidays. I hope you all had a nice time with your family and friends. And yeah, let's just get right into it because it's a hard enough segue anyway. We are taping this on Wednesday. This airs every week on Friday. So we want to preface it with that because a lot of news could come out between now and then. But we're going to start the show with the situation in Minneapolis. And needless to say, Minneapolis, Minnesota continues to be a hot mess. George Floyd 6 years ago and now this. So there's a shooting. It involved an ICE agent and a 37-year-old Minneapolis woman who was shot and killed. Again, we'll continue to review the facts, and you should at home as well. But we have a lot of video showing what happened when a woman apparently was protesting, blocking the ICE agents from doing their job on a neighborhood street. And as we take a look at the video, again, I think some of it is maybe left up to our own interpretation, but there was an ICE officer in front of her Honda SUV. They told her to stop. They told her to get out of the car. The driver did not. They are saying, ICE agents, et cetera, saying that she used her car as a weapon and tried to run him over. And when you look, you can see that in the video. You can see that there was an officer in front of the car. And then you see the other officer trying to get her out. And then the shots ring out. From there, she was injured, obviously, enough to eventually pass away and crashed her car into another parked car. We have so much to break down from this. But at the end of the day, it has continued to be a mess in Minneapolis with the ICE situation. And now it's scary as a resident is dead. And we know what Minneapolis has done in the past. When chaos has erupted, it has gone to the next level. Jillian, let's start off with you because obviously, again, we try to keep it positive because that's who we are.
Yeah, Jillian, you want to maybe flip your sweatshirt upside down? That might help.
God, I shouldn't even be laughing. You know, Dave, you said this best of a second ago before we started because I was like, I don't know about this. Like, I so desperately want this to be clear cut, and I don't think it is. But what it appears to be is a symptom of a rapidly escalating situation between federal law enforcement and sanctuary cities. And the reality is, here's what I'm guessing. If I had to guess, that this guy has probably been berated, attacked, gone after for months and months, a year now. And I'm guessing he had it to here. And I think she was just trying to get away. I personally do not think she was trying to kill him. And I think he felt like maybe she was. I'm sure he thought that. I'm sure people have threatened to kill him many times, and he shot her. And I think that this is the fault. I really do think this is the fault of both sides. Like at some point, more so sanctuary cities, if they were cooperating the way that they did with Obama, the way that they did with Clinton, we wouldn't need to send agents into the streets like this. But at the same time, I do think we've got to find a reasonable solution. We're like, all right, you have a bunch of good people. How do you do this? Like, is it, hey, you're going to pay a fine for crossing the border illegally. You're going to go back. You're going to remain in Mexico, but we're going to put you in line. Like, how do you incentivize legal immigration? Because this isn't working. And I think it's turning people against Trump. I think, for people who are immigrating here, it's going to cost you a group of voters down the road. I don't know, guys. Like, I don't know. I think that there's crazy on both sides here. I know that I'm supposed to lean more heavily into the blue part, but this is effed up. It is. I don't know.
Look, we don't know what's in everyone's heart and mind. And, when these guys come in and there's general state of chaos and, there's probably some illegals there that they are going after. And then you have the sort of hyped up progressives on the street who are screaming at them, cursing at them. You can't dismiss the fact that for months now, almost half a year, maybe even more, Democrats on television have been out there basically calling ICE terrorists and demanding they take off their masks, which we've talked about on this show. The only reason they're wearing those masks is not to protect them. They're pretty tough guys for the most part. It's to protect their families. It's quite literally why every superhero wears a mask. Peter Parker wasn't doing it to protect himself. It was to protect Aunt May. So the tension that sits there, you can't really figure out through just watching a clip from here and a clip from there and everything else. So, and also, there's snow, there's ice, a masked guy, guns, people in there's just so many things happening at once that we don't know all of the motivations, obviously, of the woman in the car. Does it look like she was probably just trying to get away and happened to hit the guy? Probably. Did she wake up that morning and think, I'm going to ram my car into an ICE agent? Probably not. But this is all just the kind of the conjecture that those of us who talk for a living have to kind of work things out.
I have a question.
I would say that the meta story here. Yeah, go ahead.
Go the meta. Well, I was going to try to go meta too, which is, although I don't know if I can come up with any good Spider-Man references, Dave. I'm sorry, but but the meta question here is really, to me, and I'm going to say it, and this is going to be, who knows how people receive this, but there's an issue here with the supremacy clause that is being undermined, ignored. The Constitution is literally being torn up in front of the federal government's face. There is a constitutional privilege for supremacy. And so the question then becomes, should there not be guys running around with weapons trying to do their job with immigration because it's too dangerous? Or should the supremacy clause really be asserted? That's really the question here, the meta question.
Well, we've discussed this on my show a bunch of times. From a legal perspective, it seems to, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a constitutional lawyer, obviously, and maybe we have several friends who are constitutional lawyers, and Jillian, I saw you just sat down with Josh Hammer. Maybe we could bring him on as a guest next week to discuss some of the legality of some of this stuff. But as I understand it, you as a mayor actually don't have the right to supersede the laws of the land, right? So that's in essence what you're talking about. I'm kind of dumbing it down. That's basically what the supremacy clause is.
I wonder, because if you're going to say, I'm not saying this, but if you're going to say these guys are inciting insurrection against the Constitution, the federal government has an obligation to assert themselves. Yeah. They've not done that anywhere, and I don't know what that's going to do if they were to do that. It's just sort of the meta question flying around here.
The whole thing about sanctuary cities, when it first popped up a couple of years ago, we all should have, every sane person, regardless of where you sat on the political aisle, should have been like, this just makes no sense. Wait a minute. Everyone knows the federal government, one of their few jobs, is to protect the borders of the country. So the idea that a city could say, oh, we're just going to ignore that. Not only ignore that, we're going to then give benefits to people who have already broken the law. And then when the feds come in to try to, retake the power that you stole away from them, in essence, we're going to not cooperate with them. I think there's an absolute argument that these mayors, it's mostly mayors, but it's some governors too, like Pritzker in Illinois, that they've completely violated their oath of office, and some of them were violating their oath of office before they were even sworn in. A guy like Mondami, who we'll talk about later. I mean, this is a guy who is saying we're going to remain a sanctuary city before he even freaking took the oath on the Quran. So there's multiple layers here. But to me, the main thing is that when I saw the story break just an hour ago, my reaction was, well, surprise, surprise, because this is the rhetoric that they have ramped up with these people. And just remember, guys, these ICE agents, whether you agree with Trump's policies or not, these are people, Sage, you come from a military family, like these are people who are decent human beings who are trying to do the right thing, who are put in unbelievably difficult situations, and look at the results of the rhetoric.
I just think
I
both
think for the most
sides.
part,
Oh, I'm sorry, Sage.
no,
Go
no,
ahead.
you're right, Jillian. It's imperfect, certainly on our side for sure as well. It's definitely imperfect. On that note, before I dive in a little bit deeper and then toss to some proof of failed leadership in Minneapolis, um,
Mm.
damn the Biden administration. Damn it. Because if
Yeah.
not for the 4 years of his administration, of him ruling over this country, I do not believe we would be in this position. It's what, 20 million? I mean, the numbers keep fluctuating that he let in for political reasons. And if not for that decision, like, look, this is ramifications for generations and generations, including a woman who lost her life today. And that is because of the irresponsible decisions of the Biden administration. So it makes me sick. So yes, we got to work on what's happening today, but let's not forget how we got in this position, number one. Number two, I don't know that it's necessarily not working as far as the ICE agents. I think we are seeing millions. It's tough to watch at times, right? But millions of people going back to where they came from because the ICE agents are doing their jobs. The problem is the narrative that's pushed out there by the media. It's stuff like this. It's the other stories that certainly don't have as positive endings, sadness, etc., families being sent back. But that's, again, what happens when illegal immigration is encouraged the way it has been over the last 4 or 5 years, 4 years before Trump got back in office. But overall, I think it has been working. Look at the numbers. On that note, when you have leadership, and that term should be used in air quotes when describing many of these leaders in these cities, Jacob Frey, the mayor in Minneapolis, has been an abomination in many ways, in my opinion, with how he's behaved, how he's spoken, running around with Somali flags and speaking their language and forgetting about the American taxpaying citizens in his own town. We all know what's happening with the state of Minnesota as a whole with Tim Walz right now. I want you to look at what he said in a press conference reacting to today's shooting. Granted, emotional, but I'd love your thoughts after this clip of how he chose to handle his reaction to the shooting. Take a look.
To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead.
So you drop an F-bomb, get the F out, the word terrorized. Again, it's imperfect, but if that is your leader, no wonder you have people like the 37-year-old woman, getting out there, putting her car to block ICE agents from doing their job. Again, it's only been 6 years since this happened with George Floyd, based on also terrible leadership in that city. And then what happens afterwards? I'm going to pray that there are no, fires and looting that took place after what happened, like with George Floyd. But what's your thought, Dave, on how Jacob Frey chose to handle the reaction to the shooting?
So let me hit that, but for just 20 seconds. So I just put in Grok, the supremacy clause. So just to dumb it down, because his reaction there shows you that he does not care about federal law. So just quickly, Grok, it's 2 sentences. The supremacy clause is the provision in the United States Constitution that establishes the Constitution, and here's the key part, federal laws and treaties as the, quote, supreme law of the land. So everything that Jacob Frey has done in that city, the same things that Mamdani has done, the same things that now several mayors in LA and other Democrat cities has done, by the Constitution itself is fundamentally illegal. So that's one thing. Then his okay, so the F-bomb, I get it. We're entering just an internet phase of everything where there are no kind of norms anymore. And you
Yeah,
might say that Trump did some of that. So, okay, fine. So I can move past the F-bomb. But when he says they're ripping apart families and long-term residences, now that might be true, right? It is possible that there are illegals there who have kids or have an aunt or whatever who are being ripped apart. That is true. And long-term residences. Well, that also is true. But that does not mean that just because you have family here, if you are illegal, that you should be allowed to stay. Now, and this is where Jillian, I think, probably has still the most, and I mean this with love, the most kind of bleeding heart liberal part of her.
I know.
Where, and I mean that with, I really mean that with love.
I'm gonna comment on it though. Keep going,
wait,
and then
Jillian,
before
you go, Jill, I just want to say to pile on what Dave's saying, the mayor is right. He's right. But what do we do about it? This is a situation. The horse is out of the barn. There's a horrible situation. This is a horrible day. He's right. Now, do you continue to flaunt the Constitution or do you assert it? That's sort of what it boils down to. But I want to hear what Jillian has to say.
Okay, well, he is exacerbating the problem. Hence the reason the first thing I said is the sanctuary city policy has to stop. When local government cooperated with the federal government during the Obama administration, Obama deported 3 million people. Trump hasn't even hit 1. I mean, actually, it was 5 million people, but 3 million is like the official number. Clinton was at 12 million people. Those were Obama's cages. But the reason this kind of crazy wasn't happening is because there was this, again, the supremacy clause, this was the law, so on and so forth. Having said that, though, at the same time, I think that I just keep defaulting to something I watched with Brandon Tatum, where he was talking about a woman who had started a business. She was Asian, and she had started a restaurant in his local neighborhood, and she had been, providing jobs for people and paying her taxes and had been kind of this pillar of his little community there. And they scooped her up and they took her away. And he was like, I feel like we got to have some sort of, all right, you've been here, you're paying a fine. Okay, you have to self-deport, but we're going to put you on a list to come back. Like something where we can kind of, I don't know, guys. Do we? Where? Hold on. Where you can still stay? I don't know. Not quite to that degree. Like I know it's like self-deport and whatever, but I'm just trying to figure out where you don't have to lose your entire life, where you can be vetted. It's not popular. You're seeing the guys, and I know people are watching this being like, F you, Jillian, I don't care if it's popular. But you kind of do need to care if it's popular, because when you lose the support of the Rogans, when you lose the support of the Andrew Schultzes, who are watching that little lady get taken out of her restaurant and going, I didn't vote for this. Well, now everything comes down to Gavin Newsom for president. I don't know. I'm like, we got to find a kind of that, because that is what I am seeing and hearing a lot of is I didn't vote for that Asian lady to go away forever and lose her entire life. I wanted you to go after the MS-13 members.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to figure out, like, can you clean up the...
But the problem, and again, I actually, it's one of the things I love about you the most is the big heart, right? But the problem with that line of thinking, and I'm not saying politically you're wrong, meaning politically you might be right. Certain people see that and then are going to leave Trump, and that could usher in Gavin or something worse. But putting that aside, the thing is, first off,
there's such a thing.
Yeah. I have a very active imagination, Drew. But the problem with that line of thinking is that Trump has done an awful lot. Like, they did give people an opportunity to self-deport. They have an app where you can register. They've been asking illegals for years to come out of the shadows. Like we would all like there to be some system where it's like everything's perfect and they'll all sign up and then we'll know what to do with everybody. It's just not how things work. So we finally are asserting ourselves after 4 years of what Sage said, which is, this is all the fault. You can't even blame it on Biden because he wasn't even president, but it's like the fault of that thing. And now they're coming in and fixing things to the best of their ability. So yes, like, we're all sympathetic to the Asian woman who came here, however, and was living right, and someone's abuela who is here, who's a decent human being. All of us as humans, right? Like, the human part of us is sympathetic to that. And that's kind of not what everyone really wanted. But at the end of the day, we either are a country of laws or not, which is why, Jillian, if you move to literally any country
I
on
know,
earth
Dave.
and were there for 4 years doing wonderful things, and they found you and you were illegal, you would be kicked out, and you know that at the end of the day, it would be the right thing. And this is
Deep
where
down.
the good-hearted liberal kind of gets hit with reality, and
Yeah.
it just kind of is.
Real quick,
Okay.
though, there's 3 letters we left out of this conversation that created the mess and created the reaction in Minnesota before and could create real hell here. Those letters are NGO. And as a friend of mine said, he didn't know what that was. The only time he heard of
Yep.
NGO was in the song about the dog, BINGO.
Different NGO.
give him that joke. But they scare the hell out of me because I didn't vote for that either. And they're the ones that really create the massive, the sort of the craziness in all this.
Sage, what do
Yeah.
you think? Like, what do you think in terms of the heart versus the mind part of this?
Yeah. It sucks. And as I said before, imperfect, to say the least. I don't think I could have said it better than you, Dave, where the bleeding heart liberals have to face reality. And I love a lot of my bleeding heart liberal friends, you know, like, but at the end of the day, this is the harder right. It is. This is what I talk about all the time, the harder right, easier wrong. There's just, I think it's so overwhelming to even consider, how do you go and pull that needle out of the haystack to protect that Asian woman, you know? And it's still wrong. She's still illegal. And even though she might not be part of the gang, like, how do you take the time to go through tens of millions of illegals and say, well, she can stay and he can stay? Like, I wouldn't even know where to begin that. But at the end of the day, illegal is illegal is illegal.
And by the way, Sage, even if you could do that, let's say there was some crazy way that you could actually figure out how to sift through all of it and everyone came out of the shadows, you still have the crazy people that are protesting them, that are threatening them, the rhetoric that has been raised. So the tension level. So even if the ICE guys were going into a building to find one specific person and they were going to leave the 5 Asian women that are running stores that are wonderful people, even though they're illegal and whatever, the tension around all of it doesn't mean that what just happened is going to stop, because they've ramped up to basically think that Nazis are running the streets, grabbing people out of their beds.
And Jillian, I don't want us. We all are on the same page. We all have a heart and
I know,
care
Mama. I know.
about human. No, I'm talking about us on this show. Human beings. I can't speak for everybody, but human beings. I care about strangers. Those stories make me sick. And so you don't have to be a liberal to have, to have a heart and to remember the humanity part of this. And this is why we have to remember how, voting matters. There are consequences to it because of what happened from 2021 to 2025 with Biden in office, and it pisses me off because this is all just bad Trump. He's trying to fix the mess that he was given, that it is affecting. Like, you know what? At the end of the day, the bleeding heart, let's apply that to the family of Jocelyn and Gary, right, down in Texas, or the young girl at the University of Georgia who was murdered by illegals. Like, the list is so long of illegals that have done terrible things to us Americans who are here legally. You almost have to
You're
just
right about all of this. You're right about all of it, Sage. Illegal immigration is wrong. It's the worst thing for us, and it's the worst thing for the people who are here illegally. I mean, we go over this in detail. They have no upward mobility. They're being taken advantage of. They're often being trafficked. The cartels run our border like a multi-billion-dollar business. The list is long. I'm just saying, is there a way, for example, like, let's say Trump allocated 1,000 more judges to adjudicate cases faster. We focused on cleaning up the asylum system so a-holes couldn't exploit that and people who are actually desperately in need could come here. We made the mandate that, you got to speak English. You got to study civics. Like, we went back to the way it used to be to get into the country. I'm just wondering if there's some reform that they can do as well on the right. And everything you're saying
the
is
Congress.
Right. Everything.
So that's congressional. That's not going to come from the executive, right?
And he also doesn't have time. Trump doesn't have time right
Right.
now. We are coming up against
Right.
the midterms. Like, time flies quick.
Yeah.
He has to make a move on this thing and figure out if it's a winner or not a winner. Frankly, I still think it's a winner. Like, maybe he's going to lose Rogan. Rogan didn't come around on him till the day before the election. Yes, do you want Rogan to support you? Sure. But all of us took way more hits than Rogan did. That is what it is. So you might lose Rogan because the abuela got taken away. But, 85% of the base is still super supportive of him, from what I understand. It's basically exactly where it was beforehand. And yes, you want the independence and everything else. He has to make a political calculation. I honestly think he's trying to do what he thinks is right now.
Yeah, and I also think
I
that
agree with you.
if only he could say it more eloquently and talk about the fact that this is not easy and it's imperfect and there's going to be some parts that don't go well, but for the most part, this is what you voted for. Just like with tariffs. I said that before, didn't I? Like, they said, no, this is going to be great. You have to explain that it's going to take some time to be great for everybody. And instead of people saying, see, tariffs are terrible. I know that's a pipe dream of mine, to have people have in the White House have more clarity and maybe lead with more humanity at times. So that was a stupid idea in the first place. But I do think deep down, the heart is in the right place because it is America first. It has to be. But I don't want us to change, though, and to lose that humanity. So anyway, Minneapolis, I think we have to pray for that city, you guys. Like, it's a disaster in
Jeez.
so many ways, especially when Jacob Frey is your leader, and that long before today's news, long before.
Yep.
I'll just
I'm with you.
say one other thing on this. If you think of America, like if this place was just a castle, right? Imagine we all lived in the same castle with all these different people. The guy you want guarding the door is the conservative. This is a guy who you want that is going to play by the rules, that understands what he's fighting for, blah, blah, blah. The guy you want to be the chef, let's say, for everybody, he could be a liberal because on any given night, he can add some new ingredients, he can test things, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but everyone's going to get fed. And I think that's kind of what we're up against right now. Like, in a weird way, we now need conservatism to defend liberalism. And that's a very strange position to have come around to, I would say.
Wow, how are your analogies always so good?
I've been doing this a long time.
It's feudalism. I'm imagining I'm with Charlemagne. Wait, how's this going to work?
Let me see if I can get another Spider-Man reference in before we're done.
All right. Are we ready to make our next transition?
Let's see.
Okay. So, guys, did you know that Trump captured Maduro? Just
I didn't
because
hear
you've
about
been
that.
living under a rock. And, a lot of people have had a lot to say about this. Like, on one hand, they were just awful imperialists. And, on the other hand, it's national security. And some say it's oil, and some say it's gold, and some say it's the Monroe Doctrine. But not Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, I swear to God, Tucker Carlson says it's globo homo. Take a look.
Democracy as a reason for affecting regime change in Venezuela. We're not going to go kill Nicolás Maduro because we don't like the way he's treating his people. It's possible we're mad that he doesn't allow gay marriage. That is a distinct possibility, but no one will say that out loud. Not defending the regime, just saying. One of the most conservative countries in North or South or Central America. Only El Salvador really comes close, which is much smaller, of course. And by the way, the U.S.-backed opposition leader who would take Maduro's place if he were taken out is, of course, pretty eager to get gay marriage in Venezuela. So to those of you who thought this whole project was globo homo, not crazy, actually.
Why are we trying to install this woman? It makes no sense.
Well, because she'll bring gay marriage to Venezuela, and that's important. I mean, that's what we stand for.
Okay. Can I just tell you guys a few quick things before you comment? Number one, actually, I was just talking to this young political journalist, Brad Palumbo, and he informed me that, in fact, Maduro was actually leaning more towards gay marriage than against it. And there are many I swear to God, you can't make this up. And there are many things that indicate that. Second, how about the fact that we are actively in bed with pretty much every Arab country where you go to
Yeah.
jail for life for being gay, and in some cases, you it's the penalty of death. Like, I don't know, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, that just gave our president a $500 million plane. There are so many conservatives out there that run the gamut, from Matt Walsh to Ben Shapiro, that never really took a softer position on gay marriage. Many did. Charlie did. Higby did. Many did. Many didn't. Despite that, not one of them, not one, has blamed this on gay marriage. And here's the thing, and I'm going to end on this and pass. Tucker is not an idiot. He's a lot of things, but an idiot he is not. So what he's absolutely doing is utilizing this, and the base, MAGA, that doesn't want another forever war and who is kind of alarmed and has their hackles up and has concerns that we'll have boots on the ground and this will be Iraq too. You know who you can point all of that animus towards? The gays. And now I have stayed out of it with this guy. I have said, Jillian, don't get in the mud with these people. Jillian, keep your eye on the prize. Jillian, bring experts on your podcast and you give people facts, let them make their own decisions. But it's like, I have had it with this son of a bitch. I have had it. And I think when that demon scratched him in the middle of the night, maybe, just maybe, it took over his soul. Dave?
Yeah, the demon won. Look, it's just so patently absurd. Try to really play out what he's saying there, that this is why we did this, because we really wanted to install a woman who was going to put gay marriage in Venezuela. So, all right, let's do that. So they had a meeting. So you're telling me that Rubio and Hegseth and JD and Trump and throw whoever else you want to throw into that meeting, they were all sitting around a big table and they've got big screens behind them and they're figuring out what to do and they've got to deal with all the special elite forces that are going to go in. And you're telling me that for even one sentence in that conversation, there was something said about how they're doing this for gay marriage. It's completely absurd. Nobody knows what to make of Tucker at this point. I think he's basically a character. He's a Muppet that is just that I think something went wrong with him. He came out of the cable box where we all respected him and there were some rules in it. And I think someone like him, for whatever reason, maybe he's chewing too much nicotine made in India, but going into the internet space where there are no rules, I think has just completely broke his brain, or he's punking all of us or something. Look, it's fine to be an absolute isolationist. It really is. It's not what I am, but it's a perfectly fine political position to have. And you might have issues with things that we've done in the past. The idea that Venezuela is anything like Iraq, or there's going to be sectarian violence on the street, the religious component is completely different, like the geopolitical situation is completely different. Has Donald Trump not proven to all of us in the last 10 years that he's completely different than any other president we've had, and that we are competent again, and that he's also, you mentioned the Monroe Doctrine, that we are going to, that America first means Western Hemisphere. Like it's not just our own house, but it's our backyard, and we're going to make sure China and Russia don't get into it. All of the stuff. He's a clown. I don't know how to describe him any other way, but I'm with you, Jillian. I didn't want to do this. I reached out. You guys know I reached out to him many times privately before ever going after him publicly. But he has decided I am going to take a small sliver of the paranoid internet and I'm going to just keep going at them for clicks. I honestly don't think it's much more that there is no way in his brain that he honestly believes this had anything to do with gay marriage.
I don't know.
All right, Drew, come on, Drew.
Global homo does sound like the name of a clown. That's the first thing that occurred to me. It's like, that'd be a great bozo, globo, homo, whatever. But I'm going to go meta again. Beware scapegoating, everybody. Beware scapegoating. The scapegoating mechanism is something that humans gravitate towards. It's one of our lowest qualities. It goes in with envy. Whenever you see somebody saying it's the fill in the blank, the gays, the Jews, the black, we represent it all here, guys. Congratulations, the women. Yeah. We've got it all covered today. So, and that is what humans, particularly human narcissists, that is what hysterias cause, and it is the true believers, so-called, the ones that bring the bottom up, the ones that become the prison guards, the one that have report on their neighbors for having a barbecue during COVID. The bottom up are the ones that do the scapegoating, and it is the lowest the lowest impulse in the human. So we should learn not to listen to scapegoating mechanisms. It is how you end up with what the French call it, the chapeau, the guillotines. Be careful. It's a really bad impulse.
Guys, it's an important clarification. That video of Tucker blaming it on the gays is from October of 2025. So it has resurfaced now based on all the news. Does he believe that today? I'd love to get him on any of our shows right now. Fine. My point is, no, Jillian, no, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying, especially for those of us at home, like, we have to remember the context. Those comments didn't come over after this past weekend when they took out and brought Maduro to New York City. He probably does still believe it because he said,
"Sure, but does that matter?"
Let's talk about the interview we did with Milo Yiannopoulos
in
order to.
Fine. I'm saying it's very important. No, I'm with you. I'm saying it's important from a journalistic perspective and a factual perspective for us to remember that this was not done over the last couple of days. This was done 3 months ago. On that note, go ahead.
And listen, I hear you, but the reality is that for years, I am a horrible judge of character. It's a running joke in my family, okay? Like, my wife is like,
I don't know what that says about us.
No, hold on. Meaning, I like everybody until you give me a reason not to. I'm the Maya Angelou. You show me who you are, I believe you. I always was freaked out by him. I've said it to everyone I've ever met. I've never gone on his podcast. I'm like, he scares me. I've said it to every single person in the space. Have you been on Tucker? Are you going on Tucker? Because remember when he got into Maha for a while, and I was like, I don't know. He scares me a little bit. And I thought that he would provide good information. Again, I've said it on things like Wikipedia, exposing that as like a CIA op and the ways in which TransInc, how profitable that industry is. Absolutely. I tuned in for a while, but for a good amount of time now, he has been actively going after the gays. And I have logged at least 10 different incidents where he's done this. And I'm like, you know what? Leave it. Like, this is his opinion. I've had very amicable debates with many conservatives who don't believe in it. I just referenced Brandon Tatum, who really doesn't believe in it. I could give you, I've sat with Matt Walsh, who really doesn't believe in it. This is different. This is about scapegoating. And what does scapegoating do? It quite literally gets people killed. We've seen it throughout history.
Yes, it does.
And that's what this guy is trying to do. He's been doing it forever. Yeah,
Drew, can you talk a bit as a medical professional about, I don't know if this is the medical term for it, but projection on some of these issues that I have, in my lifetime, the people that I have found to be the most anti-gay almost exclusively are gay. Almost every time.
That's an old version of projection and gay, but it is certainly a fear. There's a fear in there that you can't, and the fear may be because, maybe this is in me, or the fear is that maybe I'm going to be consumed by it. There's all kinds of ways that fear can take hold these days. There's not so much that conversion of I have it, I must hate it. It's a little, it happens, but it's not necessarily the case these days. I think it's more complicated than that in reality. I think it is less anti-gay, more scapegoat. You know what I mean? I think he would have other scapegoats as well. If his, and I think for him, it's kind of some sort of religious construct. It's odd. It's odd, and it's disappointing. Is really what it is. And by the way, everyone I know knows Tucker thinks he's a great guy and an honest guy and a nice guy, lives a certain kind of life. So to me, this is deeply disappointing.
Sure,
but there seems to have been an evolution here, even over the last 6 months to a year, right, Dave? Like it has continued to. First, it's like, well, what did he mean by that? I went on a show 2 years ago, Dave, right when you and I first met in person, and we talked about my situation with Disney and the woke culture, and it was great. We focused on that. It was a very good conversation. And of course, Tucker was perceived quite differently then. But there's something that has changed for sure, not just with Tucker. We've talked about many other people in that space who have changed recently too.
Oh yeah,
I do believe that he believes what he said in October. I just think it is important to clarify that was said in October. I believe he believes it because he wouldn't have said it, right? And there's always a lot more intimation behind the words. Like, what is he not saying? What is he holding back? So I hate it. I think it's disgusting. I think even if it had been said the other day, absolutely comical that that's something that the administration would have it would never even entered their minds, much less come off their lips, right? Same page with all of it. I do think it's scary because these guys, he has a lot of power, and those words do matter.
I think it's really important to reiterate what Jillian said, though, because this has nothing to, in some sense, this has nothing to do with the gays. You don't have to like the gays. You don't have to be for gay marriage. You can have whatever your religious beliefs are. We're a secular society based in the Constitution and individual rights. But let's not even do that argument. But the fact that my point is that he is saying something that is such dumb political analysis, and he's dragging people to the abyss with him. And we know that there's plenty of other people like Candace that are doing this all day long. And I know the three of you quite well, and I know none of us take any great pleasure in even wasting a second talking about these people. But so the question is, what is he really trying to do when he does
That's
that?
what I'm
That's
saying.
really the question.
That's my
guys,
point. This is not about your Bible. It's not.
But I have the exact same.
This is. I'm sorry, Doc.
But no, Jillian, no, don't think you're wrong necessarily. I'm just saying that I have the same question mark over my head when it comes to Candace. And help me with this, guys. Do we make anything of the echo chamber of audience capture? Like, is it possible that they're getting this feedback from their fans and it's sort of amplifying something that's in them that's going way sideways?
They are rich. They don't need audience capture. Candace is married to a guy that has $250 million. Like, Tucker is a Swanson. He is loaded. He's loaded, is when she's like, I just live in a small place in Maine. How dare you accuse me of making $50 million? He's loaded. He's loaded.
It's more than money, though.
Just why are we lying about this?
The scapegoating itself suggests narcissism, right? And so that's more than money. Dave's nodding his head.
Yes, right. The money thing, like, that's like an easy version of it. And all of us can be subjected to that. Like, you start saying something, you start getting clicks, and then you might start saying more of it. And then the algorithm feeds it, and then it becomes, it's a hamster wheel, basically. So, but that's kind of the easy version. I actually think that the psychological version that you're talking about, Drew, is probably the more underlying effect. I also think that that's why so many people that were once friends or friendly with Tucker are so sort of crazed by this, because he wasn't this thing, or at least he hit it quite well. And maybe, Jillian, you nailed it years ago. For whatever reason, your spidey sense, look, there, I did it. Your spidey sense was going off.
You still need to go to an Al-Anon meeting with me, Jillian. You still need to go.
Doc, I will happily go. And tell me, I mean, I think that last thought on this is that it's not just, with he goes, there's no one I hate more than Christian Zionists. A few days before taking the stage at Turning Point, and Charlie was ultimately a Christian Zionist.
Charlie was the Christian Zionist.
Right, okay, but I'm not done, right? I actually just had to pull a clip for one of my podcasts where back in 2017, Tucker is on with Piers, and he's the one sounding the alarm about the slaughter of Christians in the Middle East and Northern Africa. Cut to him today saying, I don't know why Ted Cruz cares about this all of a sudden. And he's like, I'm not saying it's okay. I don't know anything about it. And I thought, what? What do you mean you don't know anything about it? You're the guy that brought it to everyone's attention 9 years ago. I don't know.
There's video of him 9 years ago doing the same thing about Venezuela. But maybe to tie this together, Sage, let me ask you a question. Since you come from hardcore mainstream world, when you jumped into our world, did you find that having no barriers or no alleys, like a bowling alley, like that having nothing in some ways was too much at some point? Because I think he's suffering from some degree of that.
Yes, it was overwhelming and scary. And it's like, oh gosh, do I say this? I think I shared with you once before, when I started to just be honest and answer questions honestly and not filtered. I kept thinking, oh my God, Bob Iger's going to reach up from behind me and poke me out for going there on a topic I would never have gone to as a journalist. And that was the right thing at that time. It is scary. I also think, I'm down here compared to where Tucker came from at Fox News, more global. In the sports world, fine. But overall, I think it's There is a lot of narcissism involved in it. Here's the key. We gotta all, no matter what we're doing, have people in our lives who will check us, who will remind us where we came from, to hold us accountable, and to maintain that humanity that we talked about earlier. And if you don't have, and that, I mean, the best athletes in the world have a coach who's kicking their ass and holding them accountable. And that's what it seems like is not happening. And to me, that we can wrap it up on this, or you can continue. But like the deepest issue of this, besides maybe the psychosis involved with some of these people, I mean, the Republican Conservative Party is fracturing before our eyes at the absolute worst time because of comments like this, because of things like this that Tucker and the other cast of characters are choosing to say now and lying through their teeth and saying things when it's convenient on a stage at Turning Point, whatever it might be. And I just think this is a smaller part of a bigger issue that we're screwed if people like this continue to live this way and to speak this way. Like we were brought together by the Tuckers of
You're
the
right.
world. And now look at these cracks. This is scary and sad, as Drew said.
I'll do one white pill to end this, which is that Trump is ignoring all of it. Now, maybe he should address it at some level, but he's ignoring it and just plowing ahead with policies that people agree with. And that goes from Venezuela to what I just said about the 87% support he has amongst the base still. So I know it feels very hot online, but, you know, I had a statistic the other day. It's something like only 21% of Americans are on Twitter. So, you know, if Tucker puts something out and it gets, 50,000 likes and you're like, oh my God, that's an awful lot of likes. Well, it's only 20% of the country that's on there. You have no idea. Half those likes could be bots and the other half could be people in other countries. So all of this feels very dysregulated. And this is where I think the kids say, touch some grass and get out of this thing a little bit. And I think that's probably
it makes me want to
most
run away. Like, sometimes I'm like, what the hell have I chosen? Like, this is insanity. Like, it is. It's a little scary, and it can take over your life, and it's ugly. I mean, I miss football and basketball, for God's sake.
I couldn't be with you guys more. The last thing I want to say, D, is not so much even that listen, the Republican Party is going to go where it's going to go, and it's going to play out how it's going to play out. But to be honest with you, this brings me back to like early 2000s, man, when gays are getting beaten to death in the streets. That's where this brings me to, and here's why. Because when you start inciting this kind of hatred,
I want to rescue from it.
Well, I'm going there because we're seeing it. But boss,
no.
But we're seeing it with Jews. This has globalized the Intifada. I don't know, Doc. I don't know. I think it does incite violence. I think it does beget hatred. We see what these words are doing to people, whether it's some lunatic on the left who assassinated Charlie Kirk because he thought he was a Nazi, or, people who are mowing down Jews at Bondi Beach because they're the ultimate imperialist occupiers. We're like, where does this hateful rhetoric go? Nowhere good. And that's where I'm like, you know what, Tucker? Gloves are off, dude. Let's go. You. I'm sorry. No, absolutely not. No. Okay, go ahead, Doc.
And I'm the one that has to segue us out of this. Go, Drew.
I wanted to say, I got your back, even though I pray to God you are completely wrong. But if anything starts to happen, I got your back.
I'm not. Thank you.
Well, and that's why we do this thing together. I mean, genuinely, that's why the four of us do the thing together, because when we've seen some of the people, you guys know I was very close with Megyn for years, Megyn Kelly, and she just shredded our friendship over this, even though we never had a public spat in any way whatsoever. It's like, it's all just, that's the sage part of like, it makes you go, man, what the hell am I doing? Why I could do something else. But I have nothing better to do than save the world, so we may as well keep doing it. And speaking of saving the world, let's talk about TWC Wellness for a second. Guys, what if a medicine that helped millions? How about that? As professional broadcaster, it's not just you, Sage. What if medicine that helped millions during the pandemic was now being made mostly overseas? Well, right now, nearly 80% of the world's ivermectin supply comes from Asia, but not at the wellness company. They're introducing American-made ivermectin produced right here in Florida, rigorously tested and held to the highest safety standards. Ivermectin has been prescribed worldwide for more than 30 years, and its discovery even earned a Nobel Prize in Medicine for its ability to combat parasites. More recently, researchers have continued studying its potential across a wide range of applications. Here's the difference. Most pharmacies charge around $5 per tablet for doses of 12 milligrams or less. The wellness company offers a higher 18 milligram dose for just $3.50 per tablet. That's a 6-month supply, 84 tablets at an unbeatable value. Support American medicine and patriot doctors, not foreign supply chains. Get your U.S.-made ivermectin today at twc.health/friends and use code FRIENDS to save $30. That's twc.health/friends. Code FRIENDS to save $30. U.S. residents only. And Dr. Drew, since I know you know a little something about this, so ivermectin's not going to kill us. I can ignore all that stuff that I heard years ago?
Not going to kill you. Been around for years. I've used it for years. But TWC is a great organization. I'm part of their medical board just for I'm their chief patient officer. And go check them out. We have some really cool stuff. That company comes out of the medical freedom movement, but we are trying to solve some of the weaknesses in the medical system generally. And they're doing an amazing job.
We've got 2 segments left. I'm going to try to do this Mamdani thing briefly because we've talked a whole bunch about him, but he is now officially the mayor of New York City as 2026 has rolled around. But I want to read this tweet from the Israeli Foreign Ministry that they put up, which I think it perfectly illustrates what's going on here with this guy. On his very first day as New York City mayor, Mamdani shows his true face. He scraps the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism and lifts restrictions on boycotting Israel. This isn't leadership. It's anti-Semitic gasoline on an open fire. So look, there's a couple things here, guys. First off, he swore in his oath of office on the Quran. I think there's major issues as it relates to that. He is telling you what his highest belief system is. And the Quran actually is antithetical. The Quran, Islam, which means to submit, is antithetical to individual rights and the foundational Judeo-Christian principles that this country was founded upon. That's one part. Then he goes out of his way on the first day when the Jewish population of New York is already a little rattled by what's going on and some of the things that Jillian addressed earlier, to do these 2 moves, the anti-Semitism thing and then the boycott of Israel thing. And it's like, to me, I'm not surprised at all. I think he's going all in on all of this. He has repeatedly refused to globalize the Intifada, which is what happened at Bondi Beach and elsewhere. And I just think we're going to see more and more of this. I think there's nothing that's going to stop them. I don't know if you guys have seen the videos the last couple of days. There's an awful lot of loud, blaring Muslim calls for prayer 5 times a day going on in Brooklyn right now. I think they've emboldened all of the worst people, and it's just going to get much worse. Sorry. Sage?
I'm just so disgusted with all of it, with swearing in on the Quran. I guess I shouldn't have been shocked, but just it gave me chills for the reasons that you just stated. We've talked about him. We talked about why we couldn't allow this to happen in New York City, and now it's there. My only hope, and I hope this makes sense, is that he continues to do just this. He has to go so hard at all this insanity that people quickly realize, oh shit, look what we did, get him out. Because if he just kind of slow trickles and drops something here and then over here and just some little crumbs, people would be like, see, socialism, it's not that bad. We're fine. Like he's already there, right? So go hard, let people learn their freaking lessons, shame on them. Elections have consequences, we always say it. Like, do you, so then we can regain our sanity in New York City, not we, they, and get them back out in a couple of years. Otherwise, you're gone for good. But the way he started to set the tone in that way says everything. And now Florida, what did you say several months ago, Dave, about for all the people who come to Florida, didn't DeSantis, we need to charge them. There needs to be a fee to come
here. Entry tax.
Yeah, don't bring that shit down here. You did it. And now hopefully they regain their sanity quickly, or else
And by the way, someone might have some, I don't know if it's principle, but someone might have some position about, boycotting Israel or the definition of anti-Semitism or something. But the fact that he did it on day one is the point. That
Day
he's
one.
showing you what's at what top of the agenda. And then, by the way, this wasn't him. This is, I think, Kathy Hochul. But you saw that New York City then lit up like a huge amount of buildings, including the Empire State Building and all sorts of other stuff, green in honor of Islam Month or something. So it's like, we see what's going on here. Like, this is the slow roll for us to become Western Europe.
And I
Drew,
love
what do you got?
how he said he called the president to express his displeasure with Maduro. Like, thank you. We will take.
Wait, Sage, did you see the best part of that was he goes, I got briefed on what happened in Venezuela. And on my show, we played the video and I was like, something about that seems fishy because I don't think he's getting that briefing. I was like, it probably was his secretary. And then about 2 hours later, he had to admit it was his own team that briefed him. That would be like if Joseph briefed me on something over here. And I was like, yes, the vice president. It's absurd. Drew.
It's just he did so many things on day one. The Islamic piece did not bother me at all. What bothered me was the prime example was the woman was her Williams. It's now the sort of housing authority czar. Who every time she uses the word property brings her fingers up and puts it in quotes. People have their property. She is absolutely clear. If you look at her tweets that are flying around, she is bizarrely interested in making people suffer. It's recently turned up that her mom lives in a big house that she owns. So this is a problem for her. Maybe she'll have to have her mom bring some people to live in the house with her just who want to take it over.
Million.
Yeah, she's saying crazy, super crazy shit. And she's just one of the many in his administration. And Sage, that's exactly what I thought to myself. I thought, good, this is going to fall apart so fast. Go faster, guys. Bring it. People are absolutely gobsmacked in the city of New York by what they're seeing, but they're not moving yet. They're like, all right, whatever. Yeah. And by the way, it's not all that different than Santa Monica. It's not all that. That's what first thing I thought when I was there all last week. I thought, oh yeah, they're catching up with LA. This is just like Santa Monica now. And but the rhetoric and the philosophy that they're clearly guiding them, they want to destroy everything that is New York. That is their stated goal, and that's not going to work.
But Drew, can I just ask you, why does the Islamic part not bother you? I mean, I think you can make an interesting argument that all politicians should swear on the Constitution because that's what they're actually swearing to uphold.
I mean, we could have a conversation about, are we a Judeo-Christian or what? Are we just a religious, are we just for religious freedoms generally in this country? And we should be swearing on a Constitution. I kind of lean more towards on the Constitution myself. So, and I actually,
me too.
The calls to prayer and all, I kind of admire that as long as it doesn't become superseding everybody else's ability to practice their religion.
But of course it is. Of course it is.
Well, that's the problem. That's the problem if that starts to happen. But believe me, people will react if that starts to happen.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of videos happening in Brooklyn right now. Imagine you just live. It has nothing to do. Put aside what religion it is or what the sound is. If you just live somewhere and they can just blare whatever the high hell they want, whenever they want, whoever they is. And just, there are sound ordinances for a reason. I sound like the guy from Caddyshack. Yeah.
No, you
Jillian.
don't. I also think there's a clarification. I have something separate to critique about Mamdani in just a moment. But I can understand, Doc, why you feel a little uncomfortable saying that it's about the Quran because the vast majority of Muslims are awesome. But there is a faction of radical Islam. And there's something interesting I learned, little sidebar, that I want to point out is part of the reason that these Arab nations don't take refugees from some of the places like Syria or Palestine is because they don't want to start having radical factions of Islam in their country. And they don't. My wife lived in Kuwait for 3 years and she's like, none of that shit happens there. It's not allowed. The Muslims actually police those radical factions. It's the white ass liberals in the UK that are like, come in, rape gangs. No. But on Mamdani, I'm surprised we're letting this one go. What was it? Give up your rugged individualism and join the warmth of the collective. Guys, have you looked at some of the comments from Stalin, Mao, Lenin? That's where this comes from. So I pulled a few for you. So this one is Joseph Stalin. There is no nor should there be a reconcilable contrast between the individual and the collective, between the interests of the individual person and the interests of the collective. Stalin. There's like millions of these, but I chose a few of them for you. This one's Mao. At no time and in no circumstance should a communist place his personal interests first. He should subordinate them to the interests of the nation and the masses. I mean, it goes on and on. I'll give you one more of Lenin's. The press should be not only a collective propagandist and a collective agitator, but also a collective organizer of the masses. This is why this guy is scary. Not because he's Muslim, because he is a radical in every single thing that he does. And I had hope for the longest time. I was like, you know what? I want to be wrong for the people of New York. I actually hope it works out for them. I really, 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 really do. I hate the way people want Trump to fail because that means we all fail. I don't want to be that person. But I think this guy's wackadoodle dandy, and I'm not optimistic. That's all I'm going to say.
So let me say a couple things. Please, everybody, watch the series Pluribus that explores the warmth of the collective, the logical extremes of that. I suggest, but number two, talk about our own Eurocentrism. As we record this, it is January 7th. That is Cambodian Independence Day from the Khmer Rouge, who also embraced the warmth of collectivism.
Wow.
You want to see where it goes? Study what happened in Cambodia. I have these wonderful Cambodian patients of mine who sent me a reminder today about their Independence Day, and they suffered unbelievably under the warmth of collectivism. Wherever it has been an abject catastrophe. This time it will be different are the scariest words in the English language.
I'll just wrap this up and then we'll hand it to Drew by saying that he goes in, the first move is on the Jews, but the speech was about collectivism. So the point is, he's not going to waste time. I think there was a feeling, maybe, I think this is sort of what Sage was saying, that maybe it would ebb, it would just kind of leak out a little bit over a period of time. I think he's going all in on all this. I mean, the other thing that he did this week that barely anyone talked about, they announced they were going to basically have clown courts. They're going to have these sort of rental control courts. And the irony of that is he's upset about apartments that are not being taken care of properly, but it's because they have had so many controls and regulations on apartments that things don't sell for market values. And then the guy who owns the place doesn't want to put any money into it. So now what are they going to do? Get the government involved. So it's a calamity at every freaking level. But none of us live in New York City, so I guess that worked out well.
God.
I have property in New York, and I watch it, and it scares me. And I'm there all the time. And those clown courts are designed to be able to take the property away from the owners. That she has said things like that. That's what she intends to do. We're the city of New York. We'll just take it. They have said that repeatedly. So watch this all go down. Last story, very quickly.
Drew, bring us home.
I get very quickly. Last story. I'm just always disgusted by the press. I realize I spent most of my career yelling at the press, particularly how they report medical stories. And I realized that one of the reasons I was so pissed during COVID, I really thought the press was creating the panic. And I was like, people got to stop. You don't know what you're talking about. You're going to do harm to people. My latest preoccupation is the meal they're making of nothing as it pertains to Trump's health. They are making this huge issue over something called solar purpura, which is something that older men get on their hands and forearms from sun exposure. May I show you what it looks like? And Rachel, you're going to have to zero in on this a little bit. I've got a nice solar purpura right here. You see that big purple thing? This did not come from playing tackle football. This came from reaching into my luggage over the weekend. This is just what happens to men. I was a lifeguard when I was a kid, men particularly, women too, as they get older. You get a fragility in the capillaries in your forearm and hands. And if you're on aspirin, as many of us are as we age, you get these solar purpura. And it means nothing. And they're making a meal out of it. And they're saying here's leg edema, which essentially everybody gets, particularly overweight people, as they age. The treatment is raise your legs up. That's the treatment. It has no medical implication. I pray to God for all of us that we have the vitality that he has as we approach our 80th years. I would kill for that. So shut up, press. This is what I'm always saying. Will you shut up? You're ignorant. This is disgusting. I'm done.